The Cleveland Browns may have just fumbled one of the most promising quarterbacks of the next generation and hand-delivered him to the NFL's most dramatic soap opera, the Dallas Cowboys. You're not hallucinating. This is real. Shedeur Sanders, son of primetime himself and one of the hottest names in football, is now the subject of a swirling trade rumor that has fans, analysts, and pretty much the entire internet in a full-on meltdown. And honestly, rightfully so. This whole situation feels like watching someone throw a diamond into Lake Erie and then asking if you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels. Go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Was that valuable? Like, sir, are you okay? Let's back up before the chaos fully sets in. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just another draft prospect. He came into the league with legacy, media heat, and a chip on his shoulder the size of Boulder, Colorado. He was expected to do big things. And when Cleveland picked him up, there was cautious optimism. Finally, a franchise that might break the cycle of bad quarterback decisions. Spoiler alert, they did not. What followed was a textbook case in how to mismanage a star in the making. Cleveland treated Shedeur like an optional side quest in a game they didn't really want to play. Weeks went by without him seeing significant reps. Fans started noticing. Analysts started talking. And Shedeur? He stayed quiet for a while. But you could feel it. The tension. The ticking time bomb of wasted potential. And now, the whispers are turning into headlines. The Browns are reportedly exploring a trade that would send Sanders straight into the arms of the Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, that team. The franchise where drama lives rent-free, where Jerry Jones treats press conferences like reality TV confessionals, and where every season begins with the promise of Super Bowl and ends with nationwide facebomb. If this goes through, Cleveland doesn't just lose a QB, they lose face. Because let's be real, this isn't just about football. This is about narrative, image, control, and right now, it looks like Cleveland has lost all three. They had the golden opportunity to develop a young quarterback with media magnetism and a highlight reel already locked and loaded, and instead, they bench him behind a depth chart built like a clearance rack. What exactly were they expecting? That Shedeur Sanders would be content warming a bench while the league moved on without him? That fans wouldn't notice? That he wouldn't notice? Here's the thing. You don't draft Shedeur Sanders for silence. You draft him for spotlight. You draft him because the man is a headline. He's got the swagger, the social reach, the arm, and, oh yeah, a father who is Deion Sanders. If you can't figure out how to leverage that, maybe football management isn't your calling. Meanwhile, over in Texas, Jerry Jones is probably polishing his Super Bowl rings from the 90s and whispering, "Come to Papa." The Cowboys are built for this kind of acquisition. It's what they do. They don't develop stars. They collect them like a kid hoarding shiny Pokemon cards. And while that strategy has rarely translated into actual trophies lately, it sure as hell dominates the media cycle. A move like this would light up Dallas like the 4th of July. Think about it. Shedeur Sanders, stepping into the most scrutinized quarterback job in the NFL, surrounded by cameras, controversy, and expectations so high they make Mount Everest look like a speed bump. It would be a circus, and Jerry Jones would be the ringleader, gleefully charging admission. But for Cleveland, this is another chapter in a very tired, very embarrassing book. A book titled, How to Kill Quarterback Careers in 10 Days. This franchise has been cycling through quarterbacks like disposable razors for decades. Remember Johnny Manziel? Baker Mayfield? The cautionary tales go on. And if Shedeur leaves and thrives elsewhere, the Browns don't just look bad, they look cursed. Fans are already heated. The reaction online has been nothing short of volcanic. You've got analysts calling it malpractice. You've got memes painting Cleveland as a quarterback graveyard. And worst of all, you've got players around the league watching this mess unfold and taking notes. Because in today's NFL, brand matters. Reputation matters. And if your team gets a rep for burying talent, guess what? The top-tier players will stop answering your calls. It's not just a bad trade. It's a PR disaster. And let's talk about Shedeur for a second, because he's not just a pawn in this drama. He's an active player. Everything about his rise has been strategic, calculated. He's media savvy, image conscious, and fully aware of his value. The Sanders brand isn't here to fade quietly into backup roles. So if this trade rumor has legs, you better believe Shedeur had a hand in steering it. Honestly, can you blame him? He gave Cleveland a chance. He played the good soldier. But if you're sitting on that bench week after week, watching your talent gather dust while the team spins its wheels, at some point, you have to protect your career. You have to say, nope, I'm not going out like this. And Dallas, for all its chaos, gives him something. A stage, a narrative, a shot. Even if he flames out in the spotlight, at least he went out swinging, not rotting on a sideline, while people forgot he was even there. The bigger picture here? It's about more than one player or one trade. It's about how NFL teams are still, somehow, catastrophically bad at managing quarterback talent. They get precious few chances to draft or sign someone with both the skill and the star power to move the needle. And when they do, half the time they trip over their own egos and ruin it. Cleveland had that chance. They had him, and they botched it. Now, the league is watching, not just because Shedeur is a hot commodity, but because this trade sets a precedent. It tells other players, if your team's a mess, you don't have to go down with the ship. Demand better. Demand movement. Demand your moment. Because if you don't, you end up just another cautionary tale in a long line of wasted potential. It's also a wake-up call for franchises that think they can ignore optics, that they can treat players like replaceable cogs and expect a fan base to stay loyal. Newsflash, fans are smarter now. They see through the spin. And when they see a young, promising player being wasted, they will call it out. Just ask Cleveland's social media team. They've been putting out fires all week. Meanwhile, over in Dallas, the hype train is already boarding. You can feel it. The mock-up jerseys, the Instagram edits, the first take segments practically writing themselves. And Jerry Jones? He's probably already prepping a dramatic presser with a few cryptic quotes and a 10-gallon hat. But here's the kicker. If Shedeur does go to Dallas and lights it up, if he becomes a breakout star under the blinding lights of AT&T Stadium, Cleveland won't just look foolish. They'll look cursed. It'll be another brick in the wall of what could have been. Another name on the long list of quarterbacks they couldn't figure out. And for a franchise that's been trying to shake that reputation for years, this might just seal it. So what's the moral of the story? Don't let talent rot. Don't underestimate a player who knows their worth. And maybe, just maybe, don't trade your most promising quarterback to the NFL's most theatrical team unless you want to be the villain in someone else's highlight reel. But hey, who are we kidding? This is the NFL. Logic left the chat a long time ago. If this trade goes down, it might just be the most on-brand moment for both franchises. The Browns give away a gift they didn't know how to unwrap, and the Cowboys swooping in like a dramatic X, ready to make it all about them. Let us know what you think. Is Cleveland cursed or just clueless? Can Shedeur thrive in the Dallas spotlight, or will he become just another subplot in Jerry Jones' never-ending drama? And most importantly, would you have made the trade? Drop your takes in the comments. Hit subscribe for more NFL chaos. And remember, in a league full of spectacle, sometimes the biggest plays happen off the field. Because let's talk about what this really means to the league. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a talented quarterback with a famous last name. He's a media magnet, a brand unto himself. He's already been through the social media wars. He survived the college football spotlight with his father, Deion Sanders, rewriting the entire playbook at Colorado. And now, he might be stepping into professional big top with America's team as the ringmaster. And you just know the NFL is foaming at the mouth. Picture it. Shedeur Sanders' primetime slot, decked out in a crisp navy and white Cowboys jersey, walking into AT&T Stadium like he owns the place. Jerry Jones giving one of his classic sound bites that sound like it came from a Bond villain who accidentally got into sports management. And the media? Oh, they'll eat it up. The drama, the pressure, the inevitable quarterback controversy. It's ratings gold. But here's where it gets even juicier, because this isn't just about Jerry Jones collecting shiny toys. This move could shift the quarterback landscape across the league. You think other young QBs aren't watching how this plays out? If Shedeur leaves a dysfunctional system and immediately starts thriving under the spotlight, it sends a very loud message to anyone stuck in a franchise that treats them like yesterday's leftovers. It says, you don't have to wait your turn. You don't have to play politics. You don't have to stay loyal to a team that clearly isn't loyal to you. You can move. You should move. And let's be honest, the Browns have no one to blame but themselves. They drafted this guy knowing full well what came with him. The press, the pressure, the expectations. And instead of harnessing that energy, they ran from it, tried to quiet the noise. Bench him, hide him, ignore him, and maybe, just maybe, he'd turn into a compliant little cog in their eternally broken quarterback machine. But Shedeur Sanders is not a cog. He is the main character. And main characters don't sit quietly in the background while the plot unfolds without them. Meanwhile, Cleveland's front office is scrambling, desperately trying to spin this as just a rumor, or part of a larger strategy, or, my personal favorite, a tough business decision. But the fans? They're not buying it. Browns Nation is already in full-blown crisis mode. Because deep down, they know what this means. They've seen this movie before, and spoiler alert, it never ends well. It's like a horror franchise where the villain always comes back. And this time, the villain is their own front office. And let's not ignore the personal angle here. Shedeur's journey has been anything but typical. Growing up in the Deion Sanders universe means he's been around pressure and public scrutiny since he could walk. The man was born with a camera in his face and expectations on his back. You think some passive-aggressive benching is going to scare him off? Please. If anything, this ignites him. And it gives Dallas the kind of narrative they live for, the redemption arc. The young star with a chip on his shoulder, coming to America's team to prove the world wrong. It's cinematic. It's made for TV. It's exactly the kind of storyline the NFL loves to sell, and exactly the kind of heat Dallas thrives under. But here's the real irony. Cleveland had everything to gain. They could have invested in Shedeur, built a team around him, created a system that played to his strengths and let him grow. But instead, they played scared, played conservative. And in the process, they might have just handed a division rival. Because let's not forget, every team in the NFL is your rival when you're losing, a weapon that could haunt them for the next decade. Imagine watching Shedeur light it up in Dallas, throwing 50-yard bombs in prime time, while Cleveland trots out their fifth quarterback in 3 seasons. Imagine the think pieces, the reaction videos, the face bombs from fans who knew this was coming the second he got drafted and then ignored. And then there's Deion. Oh, you think Coach Prime is going to stay silent if this trade goes down? No chance. He's going to be front row, front camera, front everything, and not just to support his son, but to talk. Deion doesn't whisper. He narrates. And the second Shedeur puts on a Cowboys jersey, the Sanders PR machine is going to go into overdrive. That's a whole other level of pressure Cleveland clearly didn't want to deal with. But rather than managing it, they ran from it. And now, they might pay for that decision in the form of sold-out stadiums somewhere else. You've got to wonder, who's making these calls in the Browns front office? Who looked at Shedeur Sanders, his talent, his pedigree, his media reach, and said, let's sit him. Were they just hoping he'd stay quiet forever? Were they playing the long game? Or were they just totally unprepared to handle a quarterback who actually knows how to market himself? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. The modern NFL isn't just about talent. It's about brand, about storylines, about how many eyeballs you can pull to your games and how many jerseys you can sell before the season even starts. And Shedeur is a brand. The Browns had that in their locker room, and they didn't know what to do with it. Now Dallas might. And as much as we like to roll our eyes at the Cowboys' obsession with headlines over hardware, the truth is they know how to play the game, not the one on the field. The other one, the game of media, of optics, of building buzz even when the team itself is a mess. Cleveland tried to play it safe, but in doing so, they lost the plot. And I know what some of you are thinking. What if this is just smoke? Just a rumor? What if no trade actually happens? Well, here's the thing. Sometimes rumors are the story. Because even if Shedeur stays, the damage is done. The trust is broken. The headlines have already written themselves. And now, every single move Cleveland makes will be viewed through this lens. Do they screw up Shedeur Sanders? And even if they manage to keep him, do you really think he'll stay quiet now? This is a guy with options, a guy who understands leverage, and more importantly, a guy with a father who literally wrote the playbook on how to turn noise into momentum. If the Browns thought they could mute the Sanders family spotlight, they clearly haven't been paying attention. So buckle up, because no matter how this ends, it's not going to be clean. This is the kind of drama that sticks, the kind that gets brought up in every broadcast, the kind that other franchises study to make sure they don't repeat the same mistake. Cleveland had a moment, a chance to change the narrative, to be the team that finally developed a quarterback the right way. Instead, they might have just become the punchline again. So let's give out some fake awards, shall we? Most likely to star in a Netflix sports doc in 2026, Shedeur Sanders. Franchise most committed to its own downfall, the Cleveland Browns. Best supporting drama queen in an owner role, Jerry Jones, forever and always. And the big one, trade that will haunt an entire city, goes to this potential deal. Because whether it happens or not, the mere fact that it's on the table tells you everything you need to know about the state of Cleveland football. So what's the final takeaway? Don't ignore talent. Don't underestimate a quarterback who knows his worth. And never, ever assume that staying quiet equals staying still. Because some stars don't burn out. They just move somewhere brighter. Make sure you hit that subscribe button for more jaw-dropping drama, quarterback sagas, and the wildest stories in sports. And drop your thoughts below. Is Cleveland spiraling? Can Shedeur really survive the madness in Dallas? Or are we all just watching another chapter in the NFL's never-ending drama series? Because let's be honest, sometimes the mess is the entertainment. We're past denial, past the wishful thinking that this is all some twisted rumor planted by a bored sports blogger with a Twitter following and a grudge. No, the smoke has turned to fire, and whether the Browns want to admit it or not, the narrative has spiraled out of their control. And let me tell you, once the NFL media machine smells blood in the water, it never lets go. You're going to start seeing sources close to the situation popping up on every network. You'll hear insiders tossing out phrases like locker room tension and quiet frustration. Coaches will be unavailable for comment. Agents will issue vague, passive-aggressive statements about seeking clarity on their client's future. It's the same playbook every time, and somehow, teams still get caught flat-footed. Let's pause for a second and ask the obvious question. Why would the Browns even consider this move? What kind of galaxy brain logic do you need to convince yourself that trading away Shedeur Sanders, potentially before he's even had a full season to show what he's made of, is the right call? Is it fear? Insecurity? Internal politics? Or is it just Cleveland being Cleveland? Because here's the thing nobody in that front office seems to understand. Perception is power. Even talking about trading Shedeur makes you look unstable. Like you're running the franchise off vibes in a magic 8-ball. This isn't just a personnel decision. It's a statement. And the statement being made? We don't know what to do with talent. Now, let's look at Dallas. They're not just swooping in. They're doing a full-blown strut. Jerry Jones is probably already designing the media rollout, planning Shedeur's first pregame tunnel entrance, complete with fireworks and a remix of Lil Wayne's Prime Time. This is how they operate. Loud, flashy, shameless. But guess what? It works. Every single time. Because while other teams are busy fumbling potential, the Cowboys are out here making headlines and money. And if you think this is just about throwing a ball, you haven't been paying attention. This is about brand warfare. Shedeur Sanders as a player is valuable, but Shedeur Sanders as a media force? As a walking, talking highlight reel with a built-in fan base and a last name that echoes through every sports channel in America? That's a gold mine. And Jerry Jones isn't going to let it go unmined. Meanwhile, in Cleveland, the front office is probably holding frantic meetings, trying to figure out how they let it get to this point. They'll blame the media. They'll blame the fans. They'll blame outside noise. But they won't take a good hard look in the mirror and admit the truth. They got scared of the spotlight and made a cowardly call. And let's not ignore the locker room dynamics here, either. You think players aren't watching the situation unfold with wide eyes and mental notes? This stuff matters. The NFL isn't just a game, it's a workplace. And when players see management casually throwing away talent, they start wondering, am I next? Trust erodes. Morale drops. That shiny team culture you plastered all over the training facility walls, it starts to feel like a cheap decal. So even if this trade doesn't happen, even if they somehow walk it back, the damage has already been done. Shedeur knows what they think of him. His teammates know. The league knows. And good luck putting that toothpaste back in the tube. Oh, and one more thing. You can't afford to play hardball with someone like Shedeur, because unlike some rookies, he doesn't need to stay quiet. He's not some wide-eyed draft pick hoping for a spot on the 53-man. He's got leverage. He's got name recognition. And he's got a father who's been waiting for this kind of moment since he hung up his cleats. Don't forget, Deion Sanders once walked away from 2 professional sports like it was nothing. He is not afraid to burn bridges when the map doesn't lead to legacy. If this starts to feel like sabotage, like another young black quarterback getting the short end of a system that loves their athleticism but fears their leadership, you think Coach Prime won't call that out publicly? Because he will, and he won't whisper. At this point, the Browns have 2 options. Neither are great, but one is catastrophic. Option 1, do the unthinkable. Make the trade. Lean into the spin. Say it was about fit or timeline or whatever vague nonsense teams say when they blow it. Hope that fans eventually forget or at least get distracted by something shinier. Maybe sign another mid-tier QB and pray. Option 2, backpedal like hell. Say the rumors were exaggerated. Leak something about Shedeur being part of the long-term plan. Start giving him reps. Publicly apologize without actually apologizing. You know, the classic NFL damage control. But make no mistake, neither option erases a sin. Because you showed your hand. You made it clear that this was never about development or belief in the future. It was about control, about fear, about not wanting to build around a player who demanded to be taken seriously from day one. And that's the real tragedy here. Not that Shedeur might go to Dallas. Not that Cleveland might once again implode on itself like a sad souffle. But that this keeps happening. Over and over again, young quarterbacks, especially ones who come in with swagger, with a voice, with ambition, get thrown into systems that want robots, not leaders. They get drafted for their potential, then punished for having a personality. And it's exhausting. It's predictable. It's why fans are jaded and players are cynical, and every new draft cycle feels like watching lambs to the slaughter. Because deep down, we all know how it goes. And here's what makes this particular case so infuriating. It didn't have to be this way. Cleveland had a chance to be the exception, to do it differently, to trust in a quarterback who didn't fit their usual mold but brought something rare, belief, vision, fire. Instead, they blinked, they folded, and now they might have just handed the league's most chaotic team the most explosive storyline of the season. Oh, the drama is only just beginning. You think this trade, if it goes through, is just about on-field performance? You sweet summer child. The moment Shedeur steps foot in Dallas, the NFL turns into Shedeur show. You'll see him on every pregame promo, every highlight reel, every talk show segment about quarterback controversy. Dak Prescott will be dodging more questions and blitzes. And Jerry will be sitting back with a grin, sipping his Diet Dr. Pepper, watching the world burn around him. This isn't just football. This is theater. And Shedeur? He's about to play the lead. So to the Browns front office, wherever you are, congratulations. You might have just authored the most embarrassing trade saga since. You know what? I can't even finish that sentence because the list is too long. You've been given every chance to prove the doubters wrong. And somehow, you keep proving them right. Fans are tired. Analysts are exhausted. And players? They're starting to see the writing on the wall. We're not watching a team rebuild. We're watching a franchise self-destruct in slow motion. And the saddest part? They probably don't even realize it yet. So here's your cue to sound off, because this one's going to divide the room. Should Shedeur walk away and start fresh in the media circus that is Dallas? Or should he stay and fight for a spot in a franchise that's clearly unsure what to do with him? Do you think Cleveland can recover from this PR disaster? Or is this just one more chapter in their never-ending spiral of poor decisions and missed opportunities? Drop your takes in the comments. Hit that subscribe button if you're just as addicted to madness as we are, and get ready, because no matter what happens next, one thing for sure: the NFL just got a whole lot messier, and we'll be here watching every second of the fallout. See you at the next meltdown.